My name is Caleb Lindsay, and this is going to be my week 4 submission for FTH 202. And today's date is February 8th, 2026. Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and clear or make sure that the firearm that I'm going to be using today is clear. So we look in there in the cylinder, and there's nothing in their chambers, no obstructions in the barrel. I don't know if I can get that in there. Yep. We are good to go. First thing we're going to go ahead and do this week, let me try to get that, there we go. First thing we're going to do this week is go ahead and get a baseline weight for our trigger pull weight in both single action and double action. I'm going to do that using my little trigger pull weight gauge, and I'm going to be pulling right in the middle of this trigger. I'll go ahead and do single action first. So in step 2 of this, or part 2 of this, I'm going to go ahead and start by doing a detailed strip of our firearm. And then I'm going to start applying some layout fluid on the frame, side plate, cylinder stop, the hand, hammer, and the double action sear. Once I get all that, we'll start filming again. Alright, so at this point, I went ahead and did my disassembly, and I've got my layout fluid on everything. I'm letting it dry a little bit, and then I'm going to reassemble, and I'll work this action real quick. Alright, so I just got done functioning the action a whole bunch of times to try to get this going, or to find these high spots. And what I'm finding is on the side plate, I've got it right here down the bottom, and then maybe a little bit over here, but that might have just been it pressing against the frame. I see a little bit on the bottom of the hammer, on the paw, or the hand, excuse me. It looks like it's sliding down the side of that thing. So I'll see what I can do there. So I've gone ahead and I've cleaned up a lot of these high spots, got them all polished up. I did a lot of the actual face of this guy right here. And then on here, I think I'm going to continue polishing because I still see scratches from my needle file, even after I did some sanding with just really high grit sandpaper to try to get some of this off. And then I'll go through and do like a high polish on that as well. But what I was curious about was I was seeing this wear on the inside of the side plate and down in here inside of the actual frame. So what I did was I did the same thing to the trigger. I put some of that layout fluid on there, let it dry. Put it back together and did it all over again, and found that the trigger was also wearing right on top and on the bottom back end of the trigger. So I went ahead and polished that up as well. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw it back together and get my trigger weights and trigger feel. So at this point I've got it back together. We are still clear, nothing in the chamber there. So I went ahead and polished everything. I haven't blued it yet. I haven't let after I do re-blue everything, I'll let it cure, and then I'll reassemble it again after that. But just to get a feel of it right now, so it feels a little bit smoother. Like I can definitely tell now there was a little bit of hang up on some of these components, like on I have a little bit of exposed polished surface on the trigger there, but that is one of the spots that I was finding some wear, so I went ahead and cleaned it up, and I can actually feel, I don't feel anything hanging up on it now. Feels good. So I'll go ahead and get my my new trigger weights, and we'll get back to it. So what I've been doing is I've been getting the trigger pull weight after all of the polishing. So all I need now is one more double action pull and one more single action pull, and we'll be all set to get our average. So one more double action. Okay. Oh, so it's same as the last two. I don't know if I can get this to show on here very well, but it's right at 11 pounds now. So we shaved off about a half pound on that, so that's pretty cool. And that's just polishing, getting rid of all those high spots. And then one more single action pull. The other two pulls were right at 6 pounds. So we'll go ahead and see what this one ends up at. Yep. So again, this one, it's hard to see with this weird light. But yeah, right at 6 pounds again. Okay, so after all those pulls, I've got all this written out. Just from polishing and getting rid of those high spots, we've dropped about a ½ pound on both single action and double action. So I'd call that a success. All right, got the new springs on there. So now I'm gonna stick them in the pistol. So this is our last set of trigger pulls. I went ahead and swapped out the springs in there. So let's go ahead and see what we get this time. This is a single action. Oh, wow. Huh. This is like, okay. I don't know. Again, I'm sorry for the lighting. If I can try to fix that maybe. But we are sitting like right at like 3.75 pounds, almost 4 pounds. So I'll go ahead and get these next two pulls real quick, and then I'll get the double action going. Same thing. And same thing. Okay, so we're sitting at like 3.75 pounds on single action. Let's check out double action real quick. Wow. Okay, so we're sitting at 8.5 on this one right now. So just a couple of modifications, not even really modifications, just fixing a couple of things. We've reduced the spring, or not the spring weight, but the trigger weight quite a bit. Starting out of the box, we had an average of 6.25 single action, 11.5 double action, which is, in my opinion, pretty standard when it comes to revolvers. Just cleaning up some of the metal in there so there's a lot less friction on your pull. We've got single action down to 6 pounds and 11. So we dropped it roughly about a ½ pound. I'd say that's a success. And then when we went and did the reduced recoil springs, we got that all the way down to 3.75, just like basically 4 pounds on single action and right at 8.5 on double action. So that's quite a big difference between that 11.5 and down to the 8.5. Headspace gauges are go no go gauges. Okay, so I've got both of them right here. The first one we'll go over is our no go gauge. Okay, I'm not going to demonstrate this on every single chamber in the cylinder, but I will talk about just like the first one. Okay, so you put that in there. Okay, and what you're going to try to do is rotate it into the frame. Okay, we already know that this is out of tolerance. Okay, and it stopping and not being able to get the cylinder all the way into the frame is a good thing, which tells us that it's not going to accept anything outside of tolerance if it's too big. Okay, so that's good. And you would do that on every single chamber, or every single chamber in the cylinder. You can mark which one you just did and then just go to the next one, right? So that was no go. This one would be our go gauge. So same thing. I'm going to put that into the chamber on the top of our cylinder, rotate it into the frame. Now it's in line with the bore of the barrel and our firing pin, and it went in perfectly. I don't know, maybe I can get that in there. See, it's sitting right in there perfectly. Everything's locked up. Nothing crazy is going on. And then, again, you would do this with every single cylinder. The fastest way I like to do this, or what I've done in the past with other revolvers, is a slight squeeze on the trigger, which releases your hand from the ratchet pad. And you can just go all the way around until you get back to your starting position, And that's how you know that chamber is good. And you would do the same thing, just mark it and go to the next chamber. But that's it. That's the last thing I had to cover for this week. Thank you.